Shapiro, get alive!
Hey fam, in this video, Ben Shapiro notices something strange about the Palestinian and why these college students actually hate Israel so much. So if you want to see this, don't go anywhere.
Shapiro, get alive!
The truth is, for a very long
Does these people know what they are doing?
time, professors and administrators at major college campuses have been supportive of terror groups, including Hamas and Hezbollah, going all the way back to when I was in college. What's happening right now is that the mask is coming off and people are beginning to notice. All of that was hidden under the surface of broader, quote-unquote, anti-Zionist concerns or opposition to policies of the state of Israel or oppositions to Benjamin Netanyahu. And it turns out that all of that was a lie, that what that really was simply a cover for Jew hatred, which is why you're seeing mass protests in favor of Hamas. Why you're seeing solidarity on behalf of Hamas. I've yet to see any of these professors actually condemn what Hamas did or call for Hamas to be deposed in the Gaza Strip.
It was exhilarating. It was energetic. It was exhilarating.
If they actually wished for a two-state solution, Hamas going would actually be the precondition to any of that happening. None of them are calling for any of that. They're not calling for the release of hostages. All they're calling for is a ceasefire that would allow Hamas to continue to survive. That comes from one of two places. Either actual radical Islamism, which is a serious problem in Middle Eastern studies departments around the country and among administrators and among some students, or it's a moral relativism and an intersectional theory of the world in which the quote-unquote powerless and dispossessed are an alliance against the more powerful, and the Jews are quote-unquote the more powerful. And what you're seeing is all these organizations that are aligned against all sorts of discrimination and marginalization except for the Jews. When it comes to the Jews, because the Jews are too powerful, because the Jews are quote-unquote white, because the Jews are quote-unquote colonizers, that means that the Jews can be targeted at women at will. And what Hamas is doing is actually an act of decolonization. It's freedom fighting. It's not actual baby murder.
If we don't step up boldly and courageously to end the imperialist project that's called Israel, we're doomed.
What is she saying here? What does she want to end? Like, do these people even know what they're talking about?
Yeah, it's certainly not easy to be a conservative on college campuses these days. You have a lot of administrators who are directly opposed to your point of view. You have administrators who are willing to look the other way at students who are mistreating you on campus. And of course, you have student groups and groups of students who are out to, in some cases, even physically harm you. It takes a lot of strength and it takes a lot of concerted willpower to go into the battle. But my mentor, Andrew Breitbart, used to say that walking toward the fire was always the best strategy because the further you walk into the fire, the more you realize how little it burns. That's certainly true for college students who very often take these strong stands and it feels terrible in the moment. And then as they keep walking forward, they realize it's building a strength in them they didn't know they had.
And you know what? We're making our presence known. We're proud fags and trannies, and we're not going anywhere.
It's unbelievably important that you have to be on college campuses. College campuses have been overtaken by moral relativism and stupidity. Many of them are, frankly, not worth the paper the degrees are printed on at this point, but that's why YAF exists, is to make those degrees actually worthwhile by providing an opposing point of view, by giving students a place to go where they can get some logic and some reason and some decency, all things that seem to be in abeyance at major universities across the country.
I believe the reason why they are religiously extreme is because of the conditions that they live under, because of the actions of America.
That's absurd and foolish. I'm sorry, that's absurd and foolish. At a certain point, people are going to have to take responsibility for their own actions and stop blaming America and the West for making shitty decisions. What YAF is doing on campus is really important because in exposing what's going on college campuses and bringing outside voices in, that does take the mask off. And what that means is that either higher education is going to have to change or it's going to die. I'm very happy to see that alum of schools are pulling their money from these universities. I've been advocating that for literally decades. I'm sad that it took until now for people to realize that signing checks to universities that hate your values, hate America, hate Israel, hate a lot of decent things, that it took until now for people to realize that and stop signing checks to those things. But it's about time for that to happen. I'm hopeful that outside pressure from both donors and students, parents, and the business community, that could change educational institutions into what they once were, places of education.
Wow. Oh my God. I totally agree with Ben on this one because these protesters, majority of them don't understand what they're doing. Most of these people calling themselves protesters enter into a group of them protesting. You realize that it's actually a forced protest. Majority of them don't actually know what they're saying. Majority of them don't understand what's currently going on or what happened that led to that problem. They just come together and create chaos. when you ask them, most of them don't have anything to say. And it's so absurd to know that majority of all these Palestinian protesters don't actually have the balls, don't actually have the mind to go to Gaza, to stay in Gaza, because their own lives too can also be at risk. They might even be killed when they go to Gaza. So why are they doing this? I think this student needs to be well educated, and also majority of them, because if the mind is clogged on a particular thing, it's difficult to change the mindset. So even if they know what they are doing is wrong, they just feel to them it's right. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. From the day they were being born, they were taught to just hate the Israelites. They were taught to just hate other people. They were taught to hate other religions. I remember in 2022 or 2021, I can't remember the exact year, there was this protest in Nigeria that wanted to end the SARS in Nigeria, the bad governance in Nigeria, and it ended in a very terrible way. A group of good people came together to just do a peaceful protest, but obviously there will be chaos when the bad guys come together to come and form their own protest so that they can scatter whatever you're doing. That led to a lot of fighting, a lot of killings, and so many lives were lost. I actually feel, if you look carefully about the students, majority of them don't actually know what they're saying. They don't. And if you check properly, majority of them might even be compelled to do this protest. It might not have been free will.